Hey guys, it's Ruth. Today I'm going to talk to you about evangelism. Evangelism is for all. Now, not necessarily street evangelism, but I would just say be bold. And if we model the disciples, what they did with Jesus, they were traveling often, they were meeting new people all the time, and they were all going out and healing and seeing miracles. And I believe that's for today as well. But evangelism could look very different for each person. It might be for one person inviting someone into their home, a friend of theirs, and talk about God. It might be going up to someone in the street and saying, or a supermarket and saying, God says this about you, what that person says prophetically. Or it could be going out on the streets. So you shouldn't just, make it into a box and put it in there. But what I know is that I've seen evangelism done so brilliantly and so creatively, it makes me excited. And in all honesty, sometimes when God says go out, and he talks about it all the time now, bringing the church outside for everyone to see what it's actually like. Because in churches we're being filled and we feel loved, but we've got to make sure we're doing outreach. And my church does do a lot of outreach, but it's really important to step out and be bold and be courageous. And Jesus was an evangelist, so that means we are all able to evangelize. I would always say don't go on your own. Make sure you're with somebody else so you've got that accountability, keeps you safe. I live in a town where there is a lot of drug addiction, there is a lot of homelessness, a lot of people that are alcoholics. There's a lot of unemployment, but God is also there, not just for the people that obviously have a need, but people that don't know or have never heard about Jesus, have only ever understood God as religion. And Jesus isn't religious. He will just talk, very down to earth. And my friend reminded me of something I said when I did some training with her, that although that person might be a stranger to you, they are not a stranger to God. He knows them fully and he has the very best for them. And so I've done evangelism where we've been a big team of people, and it's been a very exciting experience because no one was nervous, so it made me feel bold. Surround yourself with people who want to do the same thing. I would say that it looks different as well, like shouting on the streets about hell is not going to bring people into the kingdom. And so, I'm going to talk to you about some of the good ways to be done. When I was doing healing on the streets, we used to have a big sign that said prayer and healing. And people could come for prayer, specifically for healing, but we could pray about anything. And the most amazing miracle that I saw physically, because God heals emotionally as well, we don't always see that, is someone had Raynaud's, so their circulation was really bad in their hands, and their hands were kind of grey, and they felt very cold and stiff to touch. And I remember just automatically, without even thinking, me and this another lady praying, we just put our hands on that person's hand, and their hands started to really, really heat up. And I heard the enemy, because the enemy will always try and put you off, say, "Oh, you've just got hot hands. That's all that's happening here." And when I took my hands away, it was like, those, I'm showing my age here, those grey pictures we used to have as kids, and you put water on and then the colour would come on there. It was like God had used a paintbrush and went across these fingers. And so one hand became pink and soft, and the other hand was still, like cold and dead looking, and then the colour just swept to the other side. And the lady said that the sensation that she'd had was probably about 3 out of 10, and she'd seen loads of doctors. Now, God does work through doctors and medicine. Never come off medication. If you pray for someone, don't encourage them to come off medication. Even if they're healed, they should go to a doctor and have that confirmed first. We have to always be safe and sensible about what we're doing. And I was amazed. And once you see something like that it just makes you feel like, wow, God, he does do miracles, and I want to see more of this. In Romans 10:15 it says, "And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring the good news." And in Matthew 10:7 it says, "As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, and cast out demons." And that is absolutely for today. If you've not been out before doing evangelism on the street, do it with somebody else that is confident in doing that. Get creative, guys. I like to give out gifts, so little gift bags with chocolates in, and a verse card. When we did it the other week, we had a verse, a Bible verse, and on the other side, God says, God loves your smile, or God loves your personality. So that person can have that personal touch that God is speaking into their lives. But you could do, you could paint stones and put them around with verses all over town. You could give people a written card about a prophecy about their lives, and just, speak into their lives in different ways. I like the idea of getting balloons and putting a message inside there, or a voucher or something like that, and then putting them up into the air and seeing where they go. There's so many things that you can do. And I've seen like prophetic cards, for example, just colour picture cards, and people then can get a prophecy from there, because sometimes it can look quite strange, like where's that person plucking that, that word from. So it's kind of just having conversations with people. A homeless person might need some food, definitely some encouragement. I would say like 90% of people that I've met that are living homeless are actually Christians, and I find that amazing, their faith in that. So I'm going to go some do's and don'ts. I would always take breath mints with you. Make sure you've got a fresh breath. That's really important. Can be distracting if you smell. Use your discernment. If someone seems aggressive or very off, just be careful. It's probably best not to approach them. You can start a conversation with, like, I love your hair, I love your trainers. Just a genuine compliment that it's just a start. It's just a starting point for you, because we all have conversations with people. We know how to talk to people, and as Christians, God will just give you what to say to that person. And also a lot of it is about listening. When we went out the other day, we were just listening to people's really heartbreaking stories. But for those few minutes that we were talking to them, they were being heard and they were feeling the love of God. Because it wasn't just the love that we have, it's the love of God that we want people to know Jesus, not us. We don't want to be remembered. We want Jesus to be remembered in what we do. So I wouldn't debate with people. Sometimes people just want to argue. I would just walk away from that and just say, no, it's okay. It's great to have conversations about different faiths and things like that, but a lot of people want to get into arguments, and it's just absolutely pointless. And they want a reaction, so don't give them one. When we're praying on the streets, don't close your eyes, because that can look very strange. Don't speak in tongues. A lot of people have never heard that before. That will just look like gobbledygook. And so ask people if you can lay hands on them. We must ask permission. In church we used to hugging and touching and everything, but it's very different outside. People may have had a bad experience of touch. So it's being sensitive and respectful of people, and also keeping your eyes open when people pray means that if someone starts to wobble in the spirit, like some kind of healings happen, we don't know what that looks like. People can get unsteady, and you want to see what's going on for them and see their emotions and see what they need. You can ask if they have a faith in God, because the language that we use as Christians can be quite different. We don't want to use eloquent words and try and sound amazing with these just powerful prayers. We can very simply say, God, you are healer, please heal this person. I'd encourage you, like if you're praying for physical healing, to actually ask that person if they feel a difference when you prayed. We prayed for someone the other day, and I said, is that better? And they felt better, so we prayed again. So you can keep praying for somebody. And also, just because you might not see a miracle happen there and then doesn't mean that miracle isn't going to happen later on. And also, what are the seeds that you're planting? That person may say no. They may not want to have a prayer. They may not want to even talk to you. They may want to grab a gift and just go. But later on, they'll question and wonder, why did someone take their time to do something loving? And I like the gift giving, because God gives his love free. Jesus gave his love free. And so it's people are always surprised, they say, can I pay for it, and things like that, because they're not used to anyone giving them something free, and they're not used to that genuineness. But we are, as Christians, we are genuine people, and we want to show God's love. If someone is led to Christ again, just do a simple prayer and let them repeat it with you. And then you want to steward that and say, it would be good to go into church. It'd be good to start reading the Bible. Lots of, little tips that helped you, because sometimes people get excited about knowing Jesus, but then they can fall away very easily because they're not sure exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So it's important that we kind of encourage people on how to start to live as a Christian, because we are being transformed and changed. That's the point of being a Christian. Don't take money. Sometimes people offer money. We're not interested in money. If they ask what church you're from, if you're doing it within a church, that's fine. If you're not, you can mention the church you go to, but don't make that your focus, because it doesn't matter about them coming to the church you go to. It matters about them going to a church, and there's so many of them around. People might ask lots of questions and just be willing to pray. And sometimes people say the word creator rather than God, because a lot of people believe in God, but it may be a different God than the God that we believe in. So just use your wisdom. And honestly, before I go out, I don't ever think, I know it's going to be amazing, but I think, I don't want to do this, I'm tired. Someone might say, no, embarrassment, all those things that the enemy puts in your mind. I've never come back from evangelism and not felt like on fire and just alive and like, this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to show people God's love. So I would encourage you, if you want to try out evangelism, street evangelism, get alongside other people that are used to it. Be creative. Just be an expression of God's love. Listening to people and really caring about what they say. Just be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. God will use every person. Just checking out everything on my list. Sometimes people ask, why are you here? And just make it simple and say, well, God loves people and he loves us and we love people. It's as simple as that. Okay, bless you. Go out and prophesy over people. Use your strength. What is your strength? Your strength is, being able to talk about people's emotions. If your strength is really listening, and the gifts that God has given you, if it's generosity, just use your discernment. And bless you. Honestly, it's fun, I swear.